Koss KSC75X. So, what makes these guys special and why should I turn my head to look at them at all? Well, these guys are pretty special because they're a cost product. They're a budget cost product, which as we've seen, tend to be pretty good for some reason. They just nail their budget headphones and earphones as of recently. Not each and every one of them, but for the most part. Now, these are not the original KSC75s that they released quite a while ago. These are the X variant, and the X variant are only available through mass drop. And the difference between that one and this one is the color. This one's the midnight blue variant, which pretty much looks black. The cable is a little different. I would say for the better. And the fact that it comes with a one button mic and remote. Wow, thank you for adjusting. You can see it says there mass drop, which they're no longer called mass drop. Now they're called drop for some reason. I think it's terrible, but hey, whatever works for you. And yeah, they're a pretty nice product, but let's get into it. Let's see what makes these so good. So let's start with the build quality here. Build is pretty average. What you'd expect from a headphone, $17. It's decent, made out of cheap plastic. It's made out of silicone hooks over here. These are the parts that touch behind your ear, and it's got foam which touches the front of your ear. Overall, pretty decent. Nothing too special, nothing terrible. It does the job, right? Now, the silicone part right here is a little flexible, just a little bit of flex, so it can flex to the shape of your ear, but not too much so that it always, flexes into some weird shape when you put it in your pocket, and then when you take it out, you have to fix it and adjust it. So it's a pretty decent build. I like the concept and I like what they were going with these because you don't see many of these often out there, and I think seeing them, it caters to a different type of market, a different type of consumer, that these type of people could really want something like this, but because there are only 2-3 options out there, their selection is pretty limited. Luckily, this is a good option. Let's see. The comfort here, they're actually quite comfortable since they hook onto your ear, right? They don't penetrate you like that, thankfully. They just go on your ear, they just slip right in, and they almost feel as if there's nothing there to begin with, which can be a good thing, but can also be a bad thing, and I'll go into detail with regards to that later. So, for me, I feel like they sit too far back. I think they should sit a little closer for sound to be better and for the fit to be a little more secure. That's just my taste, but despite how much I've tried adjusting this thing and how much I've tried getting it closer and to fit a little more snug, it just doesn't. So that was a big minus on my behalf, and that could potentially affect how I perceive the sound coming from these. But just wanted to mention that so that if some of you say, well, it's because of that. Well, yeah, it probably was. But if it happened to me, odds are it'll probably happen to you. So keep that in mind when you purchase these or consider these, that the alteration in sound because of the fit could happen to you too. So let's jump into it. Bass is pretty balanced and pretty light. I did enjoy the bass here because it's not in your face aggressive boom, boom, boom like we've seen with Porta Pros or maybe like the warm bass from the 6XX, stuff like that, or even M40Xs where it's like, oh, it's neutral sound, but in reality it's this massive V shape, I'm glad they did that with these. We don't need that massive boomy bass, or at the very least I don't, and I appreciate that they went the more neutral side with these. I do like that quite a bit. Detail on the bass isn't exceptional, it's not extraordinary, it's not out of this world by any means necessary, but it's okay. It does the job, and for $17 I don't think you'd complain about the bass whatsoever. Like at worst you could call it mediocre, and at best you could call it a calm and classy bass, very controlled. The mids, it's probably the worst part about this. It's they're not special in any way. I'd say they're about neutral to laid back. They just don't stand out to me in any way, but they do their job and they never feel like something's missing per se. So nothing special, nothing terrible. Eh, it's just a big meh in the mids, honestly. Treble is what I think is the best part of the headphone, or the, I guess headphones, on-ear headphones. Sure, on-ear headphones. The highs are definitely the best part here because they're just a little bit forward. Like trumpets and cymbals pop out ever so slightly more than they would have to if you were talking about a traditional headphone. Like if you were to crank this up to the maximum volume that you could handle or that would be comfortable for you and wanted to listen to these to jam out or some critical listening, they would get sibilant, a little too sibilant on the treble side. Possibly in the S's, you know, the S sounds and vocals, which would normally be a bad thing, but here's where I come in. Here's where my experience comes in, right? Overall, the entire sound really seemed very distant. It seemed very far apart just because of the way it fit on my ears. They didn't sit like right flush to them. They sit like a little angled, and they felt a little distanced. And at first I didn't like it because I was trying to think of this as a, well, I'm trying to listen to my music critically and I'm trying to listen to detail and blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe that's not their purpose. How about you use these on the go, obviously, but for background music, you're playing something at a medium to low volume in the background while you are, I don't know, in a library, or you're in public, so you don't want to play something extraordinarily loud, but you also want to keep aware of your surroundings. I think these do a really good job of doing that. I think these are pretty ideal for that kind of scenario because, they really don't isolate sound by any means. It pretty much feels like you don't have any headphone on. If you would play music at a medium to low volume with these, it would kind of feel like like the best sounding PA system at a department store you've ever heard, where it definitely doesn't sound like it's anywhere near you, but you can still hear the music, and it's quite enjoyable. So I would enjoy them for that reason, to use them like that as a background, to have background music, when in reality you want to focus on other aspects of your out and about experience, I guess, if you want to say it like that. I would recommend these, but only at that medium to low volumes as a background music headphone. Why? Because the fact that they're so far apart from your ears, and the fact that you have to crank up the volume to listen to them, and then even then you get the sibilance. The fact that you have to do that means that they're going to leak a lot. These are going to leak a whole lot if you do that. So even then, you couldn't use them in public because everyone's going to be staring at you when you're listening to, Thomas the Tank Engine or something, because that's my favorite theme. Oh, quick note, I forgot to mention soundstage and imaging. Those actually benefit from the distance that these provide. The fact that they're not so close to you means that you're able to... the fact that they're not so close to you means that the soundstage and imaging is actually very, very wide. And like I said, it's like it definitely does not sound anywhere near you. It does not sound like you have a headphone or an earphone on your head or on your ear and you're listening to that. It sounds like it's so far apart that you don't have anything on. And I do like that. I definitely like that about these. So yeah, this one was kind of a quick video, just kind of, putting it together, very summarized, but I think I get to the point with these that definitely mobile. Do not power these off of an amp. Like best case scenario, you use the quad deck on an LG phone. That's fine. That's actually better, but definitely don't power these off of a Aune X7S or a Jotunheim or something. Even at low volumes, even at low power, it's still going to be a little too overkill. So My advice, just use these portably, medium to low volumes. If that's what you're looking for, background music, not the main focus of your day or your listening experience, definitely a go. There we go.